So we must do two things, two great things together, to encompass that enormous new view that lies before us, but to encompass it within the framework of science, to see it within the whole categorical framework of science, and to see that these two are not separate, but that they are wedded. The bigness of the idea, the newness of the idea, the greatness of it is one with the structure of science, the structure of being itself.
So we come to principle as truth, and there it is that the desiring of the right and the doing of the right must be in conformity. Experience teaches us that we do not always receive the blessings we ask for in prayer. There is some misapprehension of the source and means. The source and means. Some misapprehension of mind, spirit, soul, principle. The source of all goodness and the means of all goodness and blessedness, or we should certainly receive that for which we ask. What is it that does not allow us to have what we ask if it is not coincident with the principle? It's actually divine love. The scriptures say, "Ye ask and receive not, because ye ask amiss, that ye may consume it upon your lusts." The system knows what is of the nature of this system within us. And so the homeoraisa and the homeostasis do not allow anything to come forth as a blessing unless it is the blessing of love and not a blessing that we ask for that may not be coincident. That which we desire and for which we ask, it is not always best for us to receive. In this case, infinite love, so we hear the divine self-organizing principle, love, the cybernetic principle. Infinite love will not grant the request. It's impossible to grant it. This is not possible to the system. So we have a God to whom all things are possible, and it is not possible to give us something that it is not best for us to receive. So you see that all things are possible to God, but those possibilities are God possibilities. They are the possibilities of the divine system and the divine principle, which is love. Infinite love will not grant any other request. Do you ask wisdom to be merciful and not to punish sin, not to correct sin? Do you ask, in other words, the divine homeoraisa, that divine homeostasis, to not to work, to not operate? Then ye ask amiss. Without punishment, sin would multiply. This is reminiscent of what we had seen in the earlier part of the text. Jesus' prayer, "Forgive us our debts," specified also the terms of forgiveness. Back in the truth tone, thinking about that relationship of forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Yes, this relationship, this cybernetic relationship of reflection, that this is the desiring of right and the doing of right, isn't it? The desiring the right, forgive us our debts, and the doing of the right as we forgive our debtors. You see, that the desiring and the doing are one thing within us. It is now going to show us the complete conformity with the principle of prayer. That is the attractor, that is what love wants to show us. And that conformity with the principle of prayer is bringing out a new personality. That new personality meaning that we are organized scientifically. The epitome is that by correcting error and wiping it out, we win divine pardon. So now the subtone of love says a magistrate sometimes remits the penalty. Sometimes a magistrate doesn't remit the penalty. But this may be no moral benefit to the criminal, and at best, it only saves the criminal, that one that is off of the course and destined to stay off of the course within his own makeup. He wants to be off of that course. It only saves the criminal from one form of punishment. The moral law, which has the right to acquit or condemn, always demands restitution. What would that restitution be in our cybernetic terms? Yes, the homeostasis, right, the correction of it. The demand for restitution before mortals can go up higher. You hear the homeorrhea coming in as that which is impelling the new and dynamic steady state, going up higher and higher. Broken law brings penalty in order to compel this progress. So we see that again, even the sense of penalty is love. This is how love will work impersonally in order to bring us back on that course. Mere legal pardon, you see that the legal law, it's the divine law, isn't it? The moral law that she speaks about is really the divine law. Mere legal pardon, and there's no other pardon but legal pardon, human legal pardon. For divine principle never pardons our sins or mistakes till they are corrected. Hear a beautiful tone that we have seen before of divine love correcting and governing man, and now the sense of penalty and pardon come in, that this all belongs to the way love is correcting us, that love is attracting us to the goal. So mere legal pardon leaves the offender free to repeat the offense, if indeed he has not already suffered sufficiently from vice to make him turn from it with loathing. That's the change in the course. So we have heard now about all of these aspects of suffering, of penalty. What else did we have? We had something else. that which we usually think of as outside of the system, really. That there's something outside the system, or we're outside of the system, or there's a duality. There's the divine system and the way that system works, and then there's something else that's working, and we wonder if the system can deal with that something else, if it will be powerful enough, if we know enough about the divine categories of being in order to make them work in respect to this other power, the power of suffering, the power of sin, the sense that we may be punished or penalized or under some kind of a penalty. And if we understand what we have seen so far in the text, we see this is just one infinite principle working. This is just infinite love working. And that what appears to us to be penalty is the most loving thing, because it will force us to turn from a mistaken course, to even turn with loathing from that mistaken course, from vice, and to go towards the goal. So truth bestows no pardon. There's no pardon for that. No compromise in that law. No pardon upon error, but wipes it out in the most effectual manner. Jesus suffered for our sins. He didn't really suffer for his own sins, but for the sins of others. Not to annul the divine sentence for an individual sin, but because sin brings inevitable suffering. Well, this is a big subject. But we see that by correcting error and wiping it out, this is how the divine pardon is reached, is achieved. That honest prayer bestows pardon through correction and not by remitting the penalty. So we come to a crucial point in the whole development of the subject and of the text, and we come to that great shift from principle to life.